Hey everyone, welcome to the daily political tarot readings here on the Black and Orange channel. Thank you so much for being here. And today, thank you, Sarah. Sarah's here.
Hello.
Which always means it's a good day. So, oh good, Dr. Nancy, you found the link. I had been just checking okay, so my microphone is working properly. Okay, just need to double check sometimes. Okay. There's a link, as Sarah's been so kind to help me with this project, and also just found the link and put it in the pinned it at the top of the chat for me. It's you guys, I'm going to cover you up for just 1 second, Sarah, just to show you guys. It's this wheel that I always refer to. This is a printout for free, totally free. You don't have to join, you don't have to become a patron. You don't have, no. It's just this with some explanation beneath it. And so you can print that out if you would like. All right. So this is the basic astrology chart. A big chunk of astrology, Western astrology, it's this. And once you know this or have some sense of this, everything else is heavily variations on a theme. So you guys do have that, and because the project, which took, it was I had an idea. Okay, and Sarah and I have this running joke that when one of us is like, I have an idea, and the other one's like, oh geez, here we go. Mm-hmm. Because when one of us has an idea, the other one's usually just like, all right, what are we doing?
I mean, it's just
whatever it is.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I understand. I'm with you. And so I was like, I know. I want to create an entire database of all of the candidates who are running in the midterms. Yes. As much information as possible. And once I have the database with any birth dates or where they were born or what have you. So governors, U.S. Senate, U.S. House. And so Sarah's like, okay, I'll help. And it's done.
For the most part.
It's basically,
yes,
it's done.
all the data is there. Yes, there's a lot of stuff you have to do, but I got all the data. But you've got to do, but you do all the fancy. Like I just put the bare bones stuff, and then you do all the.
Yes,
y'all might ask. I'm moral support and comic relief. That is my job. I'm moral support and comic relief, and I shake pom poms. And I call people out for being stupid. That is me. I can't read an astrological chart to save I actually have a Post-it that I used to keep with because she gave me where all my stuff was, and I can't remember it. I'm like, my moon is in the sky. What are you talking about? I have no idea. So,
and not only am I grateful, but I also want everybody to know, I did. This is not slave labor.
Oh no.
I paid Sarah to do this.
Yeah.
And I would like to think a decent wage. If you want more, let me know. We have an agreement when Sarah helps me. If I'm going to pay her, I'm usually like trying to give her more, and she's like, hey.
Cease and desisted. We're okay. And then it's actually been fun for me, because I've learned. Up until recently, I was under the impression that Kari Lake came from Dante's Fifth Circle of Hell, or like Beelzebub, like rolled her out like Rosemary's Baby and just yeeted her into existence because I couldn't find a place. I had a date. There was no place. And I'm like, well, I don't know about your software, but do they list, the sulfuric fields as a are there coordinates for that? Like, can we call Sam and Dean? Like, I don't know.
Oh gosh.
So anyway, but today we found an actual place for.
Yes, I think somebody maybe just took pity on people and finally put it on our Wikipedia page. But you were saying there were a number of those, a number of people where it was like if you
the crazier the candidate, the least amount of info there are from them.
Really?
Legit. The more whacked out they are, you're finding nothing. Either they're one way or the other, or extremely libertarian and trust no one. So, I mean, like, I might be here. I might have been born. I could exist. I could be an android. You don't know. That's the vibe you get from some of them. It's like, I'm not trying to make you spill your stuff everywhere. I promise.
No. I can't even manage to get a sip in. I don't think.
So.
No, I'm laughing so hard it's actually knocking my AirPod out of my ear, which is a good problem.
Yes.
Deborah says it's official. You two are just as crazy as us in the chat. We're trying. Like attracts like.
Yes.
All right. So Kari Lake, can you think of anybody else offhand who was, apparently from the, 7th, 9th circle of Dante's Inferno?
They're all, hang on, let me see. It's kind of brief scroll here. They're usually all Republican. There is a Democrat running in Idaho for Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun Googling David Roth and it not coming up David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
Have fun with that. So I can't find any information on him.
Okay, but that's
yeah. That's not
that's understandable.
He's hiding, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. There will be more as I remember them. We'll come across Ashley Callis in Rhode Island, running for governor in Rhode Island. They don't like her. Like the Providence newspaper, they come for her. It's bad. And I'm like, Moohaw! Just reading it, I was like, but yeah, no, I am just the curator of the stuff, and then our sweet Autumn does her magic that I can't comprehend, but she brings the juice, and here we go. She makes sense of all the bleh. So,
thank you, and I've got lists here as well where it's kind of a summary, and so whoops. You've got some questions, Miss Sarah. Like Carmela's asking, did you look into Caramund?
Caramund, what race is that? Okay, you have to understand if they're running for the governor or the Senate or the House. I've looked into everyone. There are 435 House candidates, spaces alone, and each space has at least average 2 to 4 candidates running. So,
you are amazing.
So have I looked into them? Yes. Have I found everything? No, especially for House. I couldn't do a whole lot of deep dives for House. I'd still be here when they came up again in 2 years. So I did what I could. Girl tried. Yes, like the Denver Post is going after Bourbon. Yes, and Kelpie, but it's, in Rhode Island, they're very and try to like not that Denver isn't high class, but Rhode Island and Providence try to bring that whole old money like snoot to it, which makes it when they go after somebody. I mean, it's like Gilmore Girls-ish type stuff. It's quite hilarious.
So I've not brought. First of all, I've not brought everything today. That's that
Oh,
that
it's gonna
this
take
is it is stupidly this has taken so much longer than I thought it would. I mean, the good news is for the next election, a lot of this information is already going to be there.
Yeah,
which is great.
yeah. And then if somebody gets stupid between point A and point B, you've already got all their information to run their charts. Like, you know, did they trip into a transit? I don't know anything. So,
Yeah.
is there, you know, stuck on stupids in a trine with their should have known better? I don't know.
Is
But
there
you'll be
stuck
able
on
to-
stupid? Wait, is there stuck on stupid in a trine with their should have known better?
Yes. You will be able to instantly discern that from the data, whereas yeah.
I love that. I want to follow your astrology. Seriously, whatever your astrology is, I want to trip on a transit. B. Smith, yes. Oh my gosh.
Ricky, in Alabama, actually, the Democrat is the one who does not have their information available, Miss Yolanda Flowers. And she seems okay. A little. Not much, but a little. She sounds like she'd be fun to hang out with at a wedding. At the reception. Yeah.
Yes, Feisty Butterfly. Sarah Astrology seems fun. You have a name if you decide to go that route.
There you go. You'll have to do it with me. You'll have to explain to me the traits and what they mean, and I can put a spin on it, and then we can just randomly pull people up and be like, yeah.
Well, I have thought for a very long time of doing short astrology, like weather, like it's a weather report.
Yes, do it.
And God of the Underworld is coming through to the chart of the. I haven't got a great big green screen, so in theory, but I don't know exactly how I would do it, and so it's actually on the list of things I want to do. But anyway, Constance says Sarah just won the internet. Sarah is absolutely wins the internet.
Thank you.
Faces, I'm glad I went to the potty before I started to watch today. Lori says, can you take
better? So did I, so we're good. So
Lori says, can you two take this act on the road? Aw.
Well, we like y'all, but we don't like people in person, so I don't know if that'll work. Like, we like y'all. Y'all are great. Like, if y'all would just come up from like show to show, perfect. Other people, I think that's in my chart, actually. I think it's in my chart that I don't people.
Well, you're an Aquarius, so you network like nobody's business.
Right. 6 degrees of separation on it, but beyond that, I want to know how everybody's connected. I don't want to connect with them. Beyond just a basic,
Oh gosh. Oh, Debsy, the more people I meet, the more I love my cat.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Oh my gosh. Man. Well, maybe we'll have to work something out there with our plethora of free time.
Oh yeah.
Okay, just having a quick look at. Okay. All right. All's well there. All right. I'm gonna pull up some charts, and you guys. Here's the thing. I am not necessarily one of those astrologers who's going to show up and be like, okay, let me tell you everything, and that's that. Right. Because I think a lot of you could benefit from having a little more understanding. Like if somebody throws a chart at you, being able to just look at it and be like, okay.
Yeah.
I may not have all the little symbols, all the glyphs memorized. I may not, but if you throw a chart at me, I know that I can at least look at it and I can go, Okay, in modern astrology charts, all the ones they print out, there are blue lines and there are red lines. And blue lines tend to be good, red lines tend to be more challenging. And if you look at a chart, you look at somebody's chart, and it's just like somebody just bled lines all over the for the aspects. Red, thick red. They are often going to be driven because those kinds of squares and the 90-degree angles and the aspects to each other, all that, they tend to, it's, as Marjorie Orr, the astrologer Marjorie Orr said, it's like the grit that forms the pearl. It really kicks you in the rear end because you won't be comfortable there. You just keep going. That keeps you moving. So, and squares can be good. You and I, our sons, my son and your son, are square each other. They're at a 90-degree angle. We should not get along, but
we do.
But we do.
Awesome.
Yes, but part of it is because your son, my son, is square my midheaven.
Mm-hmm.
What my status, my business, my stuff like that, and you, with your son, you just rain warmth and light down on the top of my chart.
Oh, that's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said about me, and all I had to do was be born.
Well, you could have decided to be a jerk, but you decided to be a good person. So it's awesome.
I try some days.
Yeah.
Some days.
So your son is actually just pouring this beautiful energy down on my chart and helping the strain that I normally have when it comes to trying to build business, build stuff like that. Rather than it being like, oh, struggle, and I can't get comfortable, you're kind of there with your hand extended, like, come here, have some warmth.
Yeah, let me help you. What's up? Yeah, what can I do?
So you are just awesome.
B. Smith, my father-in-law is from County Mayo, so I know nobody is within, everybody's, yes. So.
Maggie says, question on astrology. When as city of birth, do you use your birth city or the city where your parents actually lived at the time? Not always the same. Oh, no. It's when you are, and I'll get into the charts. I have about a dozen charts that we're gonna look at. But you think of it this way: until you're born, you're inside your mother's energy field. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you leave her energy field, you're like, I say it's like being a blank X-ray plate. You come into the universe, and the universe at that moment just goes zit.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good analogy.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Well, now it makes sense in my head. Okay.
Oh, good. Well, what that means is that you are essentially, your energy is, you not only have your soul and what have you, but you are a moment in space-time, and all of the power of a moment in space-time flowering. You are the energy of that conscious, and you innately have this power. So
you're like an energetic, astrologic lotus bloom of awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, I can take that.
Yes, you are. So it's when you leave your mother's, when and where you leave your mother's energy field.
Right.
Now, when we start getting more into, in the future, when people start being gestated in separate from a person, the astrology is going to need to be when you were conceived. when they put you together in the little test tube. Because it, like, if you do in vitro fertilization, that's one thing, because things go together, but it's still not a big,
Right.
And then you go into a mother's energy field,
Right.
and that is, and so you're still a blank slate when you leave your mother's energy field. But when we do test tubes and then it's just grown from there,
In the future.
And that's coming. They're already doing it with animals and things like that. When they do that, we're going to have to adjust.
Yeah.
So anyway, Wanda Joe says, I was born and was 3 months early, which put me in as a Libra. Does it make a difference that I should have been born in January? No. I was 4.5 weeks early. My birthday should have been around the time. It should have been in the area of around the time of my father's birthday in early December, which would have made me a Sagittarius. But nope, I showed up November 6th. Sunday is my birthday. I will be 51. And I was 4 pounds when I was born.
Oh, the baby Autumn.
And I've got
seen pictures of little Autumn. You were the cutest.
Oh, I've got the cutest pictures. I'll have to show you guys sometimes of my mom. She used to come to the hospital. I just stay in the hospital. So she used to come to the hospital, and she's sitting there, and she's got me, and she's trying to get me to drink from a bottle. And in one of them, she's just doing that in her lap. And in one of them, she's making she's going, because she's trying to, like, as if that would help. Obviously I couldn't see anything, but she's trying to just try to get me to suck on the. I love my mom.
Dr. Nancy, it's pinned, so just refresh the page and it should come up top. Okay.
Oh, Electra Storm says I was a big 6 pounds. There we go. All right, so
we're at 22:30.
Okay.
And who are we starting with today?
Well, let me show you what I've got here.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Grandmere D turned 72 yesterday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear.
Nice. Evelyn 7.1. Oh, you guys are so awesome. All right, so I'm over in Canva, like I normally do with these kinds of charts. And while I'm over here looking, I can't really see what's going on in the chat. And so Sarah, you're going to have to, if you wouldn't mind helping me out, I appreciate it. So I'd probably change the aspect, but that's the best I can do. Well, no, I can make it smaller. All right, I'll make this smaller. Okay, so we're going to start out with some information on governors' races.
I would like to just interject that Carmela was 16 pounds. You were a solid kiddo. You were going nowhere.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That's impressive.
It's quite impressive.
Cool.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's awesome. All right. Now, I have run some of these charts, but the thing you have to understand is I'm not, the thing I'm really concentrated on is the eclipse. Because it turns out on November 8th, there's going to be a full lunar eclipse. The sun is going to be on one side of the earth. The moon is going to be on the exact opposite side of the earth, and everything's going to be aligned up and down on the plane of the solar system. Everything's going to be aligned just so that the shadow of the earth is going to fall over the full moon. And so that's going to happen on November 8th at Eastern time, about 6:02 in the morning. So I've been running charts, and I covered this one a little bit before, but the main, actually, hang on, let me have a quick look here. let me get down to a blank one here. Like we'll look at this later. This big black line, I put that in. That's not a normal thing you'd see in astrology, but I put this big black line in on all the charts, and this is the eclipse. All right, so you will understand that that's the sun, that's the moon. All right,
Okay,
and if you say again,
I said that I can follow. Yes.
Okay, so anywhere on these charts where, and since we don't have birth times for a lot of these people, it's actually going to be at the same angle in most of these charts. Okay, so you'll be able to see there. It's different for the U.S. because we have a birth time for the U.S. So it's at a slightly different angle here, but all the others, it's all going to be the same. Okay. So that's what's going on with that big black line. Now, if you think back to eclipses in history, they were always kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. And they were considered a big deal. The sun and the moon are called the luminaries. They're the two biggest things in our sky, and they both give light. Even if this moon is reflected light, they're still both giving light. And that's a big deal. And so when they line up, the energy of the two luminaries, when they are aligned perfectly with the earth, is just extra potent. So it has a big effect. Matter of fact, there are people who will say that it will have an effect that actually spills out from that moment in time, that moment in space-time, that it's powerful enough that it has an effect both before and after. But we're not going into all that. We're just looking at election day here. Mm-hmm. All right. When you see any astrology chart, and again, we'll go back to I was telling you guys the very basics. Do I have something handy? Well, I'll just grab one of these for now. All right. Let me put this in the back. I kind of covered up the lines that kind of came with the chart here because I wanted to point out specific ones. But when you look at a chart, I mentioned earlier, you've got blue lines, you've got red lines. Mm-hmm. And blue lines tend to be the more easier going energy, the more positive, and the red will be the more challenging kind of energy. And then depending on how close the aspects are, you'll either have these weak lines or you'll have a great big thick line. Like if it's exact. Cool. Down to, because this is the two things to remember about the charts. One, just look at the center, first of all, on modern charts. That will help you a lot to get just an instant snapshot of what kinds of energy am I dealing with here. The second thing is look at the if you're looking at specific things, look at the numbers, the degree and the minutes, because there are 12 signs, 30 each one. It's a circle, 360 degrees divided by 12, 30. Okay, each of these is 30 degrees. Because the major aspects tend to be along a 30, like 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120 degrees, what have you. You can just look at these numbers. So if I've got a 16 degree here, I start looking around in the chart. Oh, there's a 16 degree right there. Is there anything else near 16? Oh, here's a 17 right here. So I would, and I'll pull this up later. Then there's going to be an aspect between this over here where the sun is, and an aspect here if it's within a degree or two. And then once I've figured out exactly, like, oh, there's a 17, so that's close. So once you find the same numbers or very close to those same numbers, then you can start saying, okay, well, how far is it away from this original point? And you can just go, okay, it's right in the middle here. That's Scorpio. That's one sign. This sign is 30 degrees. This sign is going to be 60 degrees. That's 120. That's, sorry, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180.
That is fascinating.
So it's a really easy, fast way to find aspects, to find out if there's anything even to look for, because you look at some charts and you'll get kind of an outlier. I'm trying to find something like this is at 3 degrees. Pluto is at 3 degrees in this chart. Okay, 3 degrees. Is there, well, there's a 6 up here, but, and since it's close to that crossover to 0, but it's still wide. There's a 2 over here. These are more minor things. There's this 3 and this 2. They're asteroids. So yeah, okay. So there's really just this. This is really the big thing. Neptune here, Pluto here. So I need to look at that aspect. If I'm going to look in this person's chart and figure out what they're like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for numbers. So usually these lines, they correspond to, this is a positive 60 degree. This is a positive 120 degree. So it's blue. But sometimes it's not as clear. And sometimes it depends how the computer that's run, the program that's setting up the chart, it may miss something. It may have whatever. So I always have a quick look, just check the numbers. So check the colors in the center, then have a look at the numbers. And that will help you a great deal right there. All right.
Very cool.
Thank you.
And thank you, Miss Tara, for joining the channel. So,
oh, thank you.
Subscribing. That's fabulous.
Okay. All right. So this is the U.S. chart, and I've set it for Philadelphia because that's where the country was born. And me, I was born in Philadelphia. So, like I was born in Philadelphia, like the country. Anyway, sorry, I've been joking about that all my life. The when it comes to governors, because we're starting here by looking at some governors, I ran the charts based on the state capital on November 8th. For the Senate, I ran everything for Washington, D.C. It's like, where are you going to be working?
All right.
Okay. Or for the country itself, it was born in Philadelphia, so I ran it for Philadelphia. All right. And this big black line, that is going to be the eclipse right there. All right. So if you look, just glance at this, what I've highlighted here, you've got the big black line, which is eclipse. Then there's some blue and there's some red. And right here, it looks like there are 2 things in blue and 1 thing in red.
Okay.
And then even down here, I added up this extra thing down here, and it's blue as well. So that's not horrible. Oh my goodness, sorry. That's not horrible. Sirens! I live near a hospital. That's the problem with that. Sorry.
Oh, thank you, my tribe hero, for donating to the channel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So just looking at the amount of red here and the amount of blue here, that's not horrible. This election day, it is not going to be the end of democracy, the catastrophe, biggest catastrophe of all time. No. We're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. All right. So then let's start with the eclipse itself. The eclipse itself is going to be at 16 degrees of this Scorpio here, that M with the stinger tail, across from Taurus, the bull with the bull horns here. But this is at 16 degrees, and the sun is over here at 16 degrees. So I explained to you how that's working with that powerful energy. Now, here's what's kind of interesting is Uranus is in the mix. It's within the same degree. So Uranus is bolts out of the blue. It can be technology. It can be mavericks, humanitarianism as well. But remember, Uranus is the one planet whose axis isn't upright like the rest of the planets. Something hit it a long time ago, and it's spinning on its side. Its axis is sideways. So it's going around the way the other planets are, but it's not doing this. It's doing this. So, and that's going to be that energy where you can get flashes of genius. You can get lightning. You can get thinking outside the box. It's a wild card. It's hard to plan for Uranus because that is the very nature of Uranus, is you can't plan for it.
Right.
It rules Aquarius, which is has a lot to do with technology. So maybe that will be a part of this. But the eclipse itself, if anything's going to aspect this eclipse, like the sun in the US chart, it's going to aspect both the sun, the moon, and Uranus. So our very sense of self right here, 13 degrees, because it's the sun and the moon are so big that they can be within a few degrees of whatever's happening, and it will still have a full effect. Whereas once you start getting into it depends who you talk to, which astrologers you talk to. But once you start getting into like 4 degrees separation, 5 degrees separation from most planets, it's really weak.
Cool beans.
But not the sun and the moon. Big has a big effect. So
I would like to know if aspects are good.
It depends on the aspect. The aspects are the degrees between things. Like this is 60 degrees away from the sun in the US chart is 60. It's going to be 60 degrees away from the moon during the eclipse. That's an energetic positive. This is 120 degrees. That is a gentle. That's a lovely summer day on one of those. The energy of one of those things you float on, the rubber rings you'd like float on in the river, in a gentle river,
like the raft, like the inner tubes.
Yeah, the inner tube things. Like you're it's like you're on one of those, and it's a lovely, it's a beautiful summer day, and and the current's just very gently, just kind of moving you down, and it's just lovely. It's called a trine because it's called a trine. It's 120 degrees. So this can be great. However, too much of a good thing is where you run into trouble. If you get somebody who has, like, their whole chart is like 3 trines, called a grand trine, it can be too much, but that's a whole different thing. All right. Eclipse, US sun, our sense of self is going to be actually in a kind of agreement energy, positive energy. It won't be horrible to our sense of self. We're not going to lose ourselves.
That's right. Yes. I can't find my keys. I don't know how I'd find myself. Sorry,
I love that. Now, at the same time, we have to remember a couple of things that do I have a circle here? I do. We've talked a lot about in the US chart how Pluto is returned to where it was when the country was founded. And Pluto is, did I put that down in here? No, I didn't. It's gone direct again. So, but it's just cleaning up what it did before.
Yes.
So we're still dealing with that sense of power. Pluto, plutonium. It's about power.
Right. Lori, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject. Lori was asking, so are you saying that we will feel good on election day? I think that she's saying that it's not all going to be on election day.
Exactly. We're not going to lose ourselves through chaos or that sort of thing. There's gentle energy going to our very sense of self as a country. So that is good. That's a good thing. We are going through a Pluto return, but we went through the worst of this last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other thing is that Neptune down here. Now, when the country was created, Neptune was at 22 degrees up here.
Yes.
And as you can go through the US chart and you will find that major things in our history happened when Uranus moved 90 degrees away, 180 degrees away, then, over here, return. The last time that Uranus in the sky was opposite Uranus in the US chart was the Civil War, which helps
fun.
Well, Neptune is idealism. It's the last, it rules Pisces, the last sign, and which is kind of, and Neptune rules, it dissolves, it rules things you don't feel. Or rather maybe you feel, but that it dissolves things. It's religion, art, idealism, certainly emotions. It can have a lot to do with emotions, emotional stuff, film, things like that. And it diffuses, like when you put something in the ocean,
right.
It diffuses. When we get down to Fetterman's chart, you'll be able to see what happened in his chart that I think helps explain the stroke. I could be wrong, but I think, yeah. And it's Neptune. Neptune went over a certain point in his chart and something in there diffused.
Clarification. I'm not saying cool for the stroke. I'm saying cool that we can see. That's all.
I don't know.
I feel the need to
yeah.
Not cool about the stroke. Okay.
Yeah. So Neptune in the sky is very much opposite Neptune up here. But again, it's actually moving backwards. So it's actually gone past that point, come back, and it'll start going forward again. And it's just making, it's just making sure it got its keys and the cat has water before it finally goes out through the door. So we're dealing with this Neptune opposition. We're dealing with this Pluto. It's called a conjunction. It's in the same place, but we've already been through the worst of it.
Right.
The other thing that's going to happen on election day is this Jupiter. Jupiter is jovial. Jove was a name for Jupiter. Jovial can have an element of Bacchus. It's the big planet. It's optimistic. It can be lucky. It can be a blowhard. It can promise one heck of a lot more than it can deliver when it goes bad. So,
I know many people like that.
There we go. So Jupiter is actually going to be on this point in the US chart. It's called the IC. It's at the bottom of the chart. It's opposite the midheaven. And that's your home. That's at home, America at home.
Right.
Or it can be your childhood. It can be, it's your midheaven. You're going out in the world and you're getting your status and all of this. Your midheaven is your family, your, it's personal and withdrawn, that kind of thing. So Jupiter is right. It's right there within less than a degree of RIC. So we're going to have this big blowhard energy at home. So it's things are going to get amplified. They're going to feel amplified or just on our at home. Yeah, there's going to be this emphasis. All right. So if you're aware that energy is there, then you can also go, oh, okay, that blowhard. Oh, that blowhard. Oh, that person making a mountain out of a molehill. Oh, that person getting really, really upset, like beyond, we're not going to lose our democracy. And we do get frustrated with people. But please understand, when Jupiter moves through, it can be lucky, which would be good. And it can be lucky for us at home. because that's what's going through the sky. But also understand some people. So just understand the energy that's going on. All right, but we're not going to say again.
I said I'm related to some people.
So anyway, but I think this is very important right here. We are not going to lose ourselves.
That is very cool.
So, all right, let's move on to some actual charts.
Okay, so 4530.
Yep. We're going to look at the governor of Florida race, and I've got Charlie Crist here, and I've got Ron DeSantis. Let's start with DeSantis. These numbers on the outside, these are the transits. That's where in kind of the orange red, this outer ring, those are where the planets are in the sky. The blue planets in here, that's the actual chart of the person. We don't have birth times for these people I'm covering today. So we don't know like what wedges, what houses these things are falling into, but we can very much see what planets are where, have a general idea where the moon probably is. Yeah, so just be aware of that. So DeSantis, when this eclipse happens, here it's that big black line again, where you've got the moon and Uranus, and then you've got the sun over here, which will be at 16 degrees. Well, he's got Uranus in his chart at 1338. It's within a couple degrees. So I've been joking for a few days now. I said when I was going to be showing you guys the chart, it's like, DeSantis he's getting the eclipse up his, Uranus. And it's true. I'm not making that up. It's true. Let me go back to where I was. So this, I don't know what house this is in his chart, but this is going to, when the Uranus in your chart gets kind of energized, it has this big blast eclipse energy, and because of that, Uranus up here at 14, and it's back here. No, sorry, at 17. Uranus is almost at 70 degrees. This is more at like 14, but the luminaries kind of pull it all in. So your Uranus in your chart is where you can be, you can think outside the box. You can be a great humanitarian. You can, but you can also just be weird.
He's got that thinking outside the box part down because he's just pulling up all kinds of crazy stuff. The humanitarian part.
Yeah, I hear you. If it helps you understand the energy, my Uranus is in the wedge in my chart. It's called the 5th house, which is what we create. And it can be children, it can be fun and gambling and things like that. But a lot of my art is going to come out of the 5th house. What the work I'm doing as an artist is what I'm creating is coming out of the 5th house. And so I purposely sat down and said, okay, if I've got Uranus there, then how can I best take advantage of that? Uranus is technology. Let's see. How about a YouTube channel?
There you go.
Humanitarianism. I want to do humanitarian thing. Okay, humanitarianism. 10% of my income from this channel goes to feeding America. Thinking outside the box. You guys, I mean, really, I think my channel's a little different from a lot of people.
A little bit.
But not, yeah.
Were y'all here on Halloween? We think outside the box, like the staycations. So yes. So that's Uranus. Depending on where it is, you can find those positive aspects of it, or you can find the Ron DeSantis obnoxious, I do what I want, kind of rebellious,
It's very much the rebel. And that can be good, but that can be really bad. So he's getting hit full force with this eclipse, which is going to be quite a bolt out of the blue in his life, because it's going to take that part of that piece of his chart and just zap, like powerhouse that Uranus right there.
Evelyn wants to know, does that mean he's going to have a bad time?
He's going to have an unexpected time.
Oh.
Go
ahead.
Because he's got that in his chart. If I had the sun, every time the sun goes over, say, Uranus in my chart, it gives power and warmth to that part of me. But this is an eclipse. It's a huge amount of energy, and it's got Uranus in the sky opposite. So oppositions create this seesaw effect. Very unexpected. One gets, so his, even that normal sense of maybe what he's used to with that energy, it's suddenly going to be blown up and then go down, and then blown up and then go. It's crazy town.
I want to make jokes about how it's never a good time when there's unexpected energy near that planet, but I'm not going to.
I understand. The moon in your chart is also your emotions, and Saturn in the sky is going to be at almost 19 degrees. Well, his moon is at 22 and a half. And again, with the luminaries, you've got a bigger space. It's called an orb. It's the worst name because it just confuses people. But an orb is how many degrees it'll still have like this has an orb from 19 to 22 and a half. So 20, 21, 22, 3.5 degrees.
Right.
With the moon, it's still, that may as well be a conjunction. Saturn is the opposite of Neptune. It forms, it creates limits. It's good fences make good neighbors. It's the taskmaster. The good thing about Saturn is if you do the work, you will be rewarded.
Yes.
But so when Saturn shows up, Saturn wants to see your homework.
Yeah, Saturn is very much the planet of he who shall not work does not eat. Yeah. So, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And when you have Saturn going over the moon in your chart, it is raining on your parade. It is dampening your emotions.
Saturn is. We're not. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I just want to say Saturn is not the life of the party. Saturn is the biggest wet blanket on the party you can imagine.
It's the hall monitor. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. Lisa was asking if the eclipse is in his 8th house, but Autumn said earlier we're not exactly sure because we don't have a birth time where his houses are.
Right.
So we have no idea.
Right.
But either way, he's got that unexpected energy by the planet that shall not be named because I can't do it with a straight face. Okay. And Saturn is very hall monitor-ish.
And it's a big wet blanket. Its color is black. It rules Capricorn, the workaholic sign.
It's the Percy Weasley.
Actually, I wonder if it's more the Finch.
Maybe, but Percy was very hardworking too, which is why I was thinking.
Okay. There we go. That'll do it.
It's very much by the rules. Everything is by the rules. You do not deviate from the rules, and you work hard.
Right. So, exactly. Yes. So if you are, if somebody is interested in you romantically, and you are just not feeling it, it may be that their Saturn is over your moon. That they're dampening your emotions just by their existence. Because people are like permanent transits. That's why different people bring out different parts of you, different sides of you. So this does not look good for DeSantis. this bolt out of the blue is a little worrying. The other thing, Pluto in the sky, we talked about power. Pluto is power. Mm-hmm. It's at 26 degrees up here.
Mm-hmm.
Mars in his chart is at 26 degrees. That's in Virgo. 3, 6, 9 squared. 90 degrees is a square. So Pluto in the sky, which is all about power is making him uncomfortable. Mars is taking action, how you take action. It can also be for a heteronormative man. It can be his masculinity too. But it's how he's going to take action.
Yes.
It's the warrior, the god of war. And you've got Pluto over there in the sky who's needling that Mars. So Mars in his chart is not going to be happy with this. And Pluto moves slowly. So this is an ongoing thing where it's just bugging him. So there's that. Now he does have one positive thing here. Jupiter at 29 degrees here. And he's got Jupiter at 1 degree in his own chart. This is a positive aspect. So the lucky part of his chart, the bright, optimistic, and in his chart, it's in Leo, which is the sign of kings. This is getting a lot of positive energy from Jupiter in the sky. So it's like a super Jupiter, super blowhard, super Bachian, super optimistic. I mean, I like Jupiter, but I know it's bad side too. So that could be good, that could be bad. It can give you a lot of confidence, which is good. It can make you the biggest blowhard imaginable.
I mean, you just explained on paper with math why he's a super blowhard. So, I mean, I'm sold.
Yep. All right. So that's what's happening to DeSantis on election day. Now, let's look at Charlie Crist. And this isn't a thing where I'm going to be like, oh, well, obviously. No. You decide. Let me tell you what's here. Okay. Again, there's the eclipse. 16 degrees and 16 degrees.
I see more blue, so that's good.
Yep. Okay. So there's nothing around that's really 16. So this eclipse isn't setting off his chart. Unless, I mean, we don't know. It may be, maybe his ascendant or midheaven. We don't know. But just from this, what we know, it's not setting off his chart, which could be good.
So he's steadier. He's not like shaken.
Could be, yeah.
Well, from a distance, anyway.
Yeah. Well, Mars in the sky. So wherever Mars is transiting in your chart, it's going to move you. That's the god of war is, coming in his armor and what have you. And it's like, we're doing the thing. And yeah. And his, this is within a degree of where Venus is in Crist's chart. Venus is what and how you love. And they get along really well.
So his god of war and his what and how you love are getting along, or
his goddess of love, his god of war and his goddess of love. No, goddess. The god of war is passing by.
Oh, okay.
And it's energizing his
what
sense
and
of what and how you love, and which can sometimes involve patriotism.
It could have lots of family support, lots of
right.
Yeah.
And this in his chart, because his Venus is at 24 degrees, it's in a positive aspect to Neptune up here. Remember the diffuse god of, think of the sea, the ocean, Neptune, diffusing, but also dreamy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a positive aspect in his chart anyway, and Mars is coming along, and he's energizing this comfortable, dreamy quality that is very familiar to Crist. And this can be idealism, can be love of country in this case, could be, but it's this would be not only putting Venus and Neptune near each other or an aspect to each other, you in any vaguely positive way, it can be a beautiful dream. It can be soothing, this lovely fantasy. It can be a spiritual awakening. It can be it's if you are setting yourself up to be a leader, it can, or you're getting near someone who you are attracted to, you can look very dreamy to them, like, ooh, ideals. And right. So he could be this setting off, this Mars energizing this part of his chart could make him look better,
right,
to others.
Okay, so this chart, when you take in what we already know, that he is a former governor,
right,
that, and I mean, to me, to me, and again, I asked you if that thing over there was a Minesweeper board earlier today, so I know nothing. So, but all of these qualities that you're talking about, as someone who has the more level head and would be coming back to a position he had before, to me, that's positive.
I would think so. Yes, Suvi was saying Mars also sextiling his Pluto, which is not bad. Yeah, so that's good too. You've got this positive thing here, and is Pluto right here at 27 degrees is Pluto. So this is another one. So both of these are positive.
Fabulous.
So Mars is doing that too. Remember Jupiter over here being the energizing, the expanding, the optimistic.
Yes.
It is in a positive aspect to Crist's sun, his sense of self. His very sense of self is feeling good, optimistic. He is apparently kind of he does have there's some kind of rebellious energy in there somewhere, though, because it is his sun and his Uranus are in the same place. So he does think outside the box some, but this is a really positive aspect from Jupiter. So, so we've got, that's good. Up here, Pluto in the sky is within minutes of Saturn in his chart. So Saturn may be the great big wet blanket, but Saturn is like glue. In long-term relationships, and when you're comparing people's charts, you want all the traditionally good aspects, but you want a little bit of Saturn in there too, because the Saturn's is gonna get you to stick together. It can be the glue. Well, Pluto in the sky is about power, and it's in this positive aspect to the hardworking energy of his Saturn, the forming things. This would be a good leader. This is a good aspect for a leader to be dealing with in a transit. But hang on, 21. I find it interesting there that both DeSantis and Crist, they have their moons at 21 and 22. Well, we don't know exactly because we don't have birth times, and the sun moves the moon moves a total of 13.5 degrees every day, but ballpark. Saturn might be a little bit of a wet blanket on him too, and this is if his moon is right there, it's not in a good aspect to Venus in the sky. But we don't know, so I can't put a whole lot of emphasis on that. In the same way where this is a wet blanket here, I can't guarantee that's where the moon is. That's why I was talking about these other things first. But so from what I'm seeing here, I mean, if you can make positive use of the huge bolt of energy of an eclipse, absolutely, that can. Then a lot of famous people, famous leaders they were born during an eclipse. A lot of people who want to be leaders, even though they don't deserve it, like Trump, were born during an eclipse.
Right.
But this is the chart of somebody I would much rather have in charge. This energy is good. Whereas DeSantis's chart is bolts out of the blue, power, irritating, how him trying to take action, blowhard energy. If he doesn't rein in, it can be really positive and lucky, but with these bolts out of the blue and this kind of other stuff going on here, he would have to remain optimistic but not become a blowhard, and we know that's not going to happen. Yeah. All right, so I know you've got to go soon, and I'm kind of running over. Hopefully I can move through a couple of these more quickly now that you've got the basics, because we can go down here to Arizona.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, just ignore these things those are just things I use. You can ignore this down here. So we've got Kari Lake and we've got Katie Hobbs. Let's look at Katie Hobbs. All right, here's the eclipse at 16 degrees, and her sun isn't at 16. Her north node is at 16. So what she's supposed to do with her life is going to, but it's a positive aspect. It's 120 degrees away, or 30, depending on which side of the eclipse you're talking about. But that's good. That's the eclipse benefiting your work order in this life with your north node. Yeah, and a lot of these things aren't affected. There is this big Jupiter here is in a positive aspect to her Neptune. So that could be her, like if you are making a film and you've got a really positive aspect between Neptune, which is going to be the art, the beauty and the ideal, and you've got a positive aspect with Jupiter, which is optimistic and charismatic and bigger than life. You put those two things together, you're going to have one heck of a movie. So this is a positive aspect here. So I'm not saying she's making a movie, but there's. So anyway, also in her chart, Katie Hobbs, she's happier within herself. Just so you know, in her natal chart, her moon is somewhere around the 1 degree area. Her sun is at 6 degrees here, so chances are that her sense of self and her emotions actually just on an everyday level, they work together. There isn't this big disconnect between the head and the heart. So again, I'm
a nice level-headed day person thing.
Yeah. And then the only other thing to mention here would be that big blowhard Jupiter is going to be opposite her Pluto. So her sense of power is going to be on this seesaw. So she's probably feeling like, I'm going to get it, I'm not. I'm going to get it, I'm not. I'm going to be able, I'm not. I'm going to be governor, I'm not. So it's probably doing this, which could also be messing with their support. But it isn't just leaving it on a normal level. It is raising it up. Okay, then it dips, but it does raise it up.
Yeah.
So she can get a little boost kind of there. All right, so that's Katie Hobbs. It looks pretty good. I mean,
decent.
I'm sure that some of I can't see the chat, but I'm guessing that there are people looking and they're seeing other things here. But it doesn't look horrible. Yeah. Kari Lake, who is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's the there's the eclipse. And it's 16 degrees. So looking around her chart, you've got Mars here at 14, but that's only 30 degrees. It's called a minor aspect. It doesn't have a lot of power, but okay. All right. It could give her, in theory, it could give her a little bit of energy. Right there. Little extra get up and go. All right. Pluto in the sky, power, all about power, is in a very gentle, positive aspect to the power in her chart, which is not necessarily great. It's also in a positive aspect to her north node, south node, her nodes, her work order in life, but it's still 4 degrees away. It's a little weak, but it's there. Jupiter, blowhard Jupiter, but I keep calling it blowhard Jupiter, but it's big and optimistic and what have you. But it's in a really not good aspect to her sun, her sense of self. So this idea of being grand, being all is grinding. She wants to be, but that lucky energy is grinding on her sense of self. So she's like, I want that energy, but it's just, she can't get, it's like you can't get along with it. It's like, I want that, and it's uncomfortable. So it can get her up and moving if she's a healthy person internally, but. And then we also have Venus up here at 23, which is in a very good aspect of Venus in the sky.
Okay.
So it's, yeah. Mars in the sky.
So basically, with her chart, we shouldn't be surprised. If something happens, it's not going to be completely out of the blue.
No, and she does have some good aspects here. This one, it's harder to call.
Yeah, but on everything, their numbers, from what I remember looking, are pretty close.
Yeah.
So,
but I can tell you, you can look at a lot of these charts and you can see what kind of people they are, and I can tell you which ones I'd rather have. Just based on the charts, I could tell you who I'd rather have in charge.
I mean, that would be Miss Hobbs. Table of one, please.
Yeah, exactly. Kari, she's got Mercury. How she communicates is in the same place as her Pluto, so that's that intensity, that intense power when she speaks, which can be a little off-putting. Decaf is just as tasty. Really, this. And she is her sun in her chart is in a weak but positive aspect to her. You got it, Uranus. Her maverickness, which is only a few degrees away from her expansive Jupiter. So this is not a. This is someone who has some ideas about themselves.
No.
There you go. All right.
Shocked.
All right. So I look at these and I don't. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm Thread of hope. If you could design the most positive aspects for a candidate, what would you want to see from this eclipse? Well, I'd want to see a lot of the blue lines coming off the eclipse onto major parts of the chart, like your sun, like your sense of self, like your north node is good. That can be helpful. So the more blue lines I can see coming off that eclipse, the better. Holly's saying people who've worked with Kari Lake say she's nasty and mean.
Not surprised.
Yeah. So that's what I'm getting there. And do you have 5 more minutes?
This morning, she came from,
Oh, that's true. Until we found out, she was from one of the levels of Dante's Inferno.
Yes. Yeah. The daughter of Rosemary. Yes.
All right. And let me see if I can quickly get through. I do at least just want to cover something in the Senate here. Fetterman's chart, I just wanted to point out. Neptune came along in the sky, and it went over his north node. His north node is what you're here to do. I call it your work order. Okay, you're going down to Earth. Your north node is my north node is in Aquarius. All right, you need to do humanitarian work. You need to work. You have options: humanitarianism, technology, forward thinking, all this stuff. And it's like, okay. And so I come down here and I'm like, all right, I can try to do things with my life that are positive Aquarian things. All right. Well, his work order is in Pisces. At least we think it is. And Neptune came along. Right now it's in retrograde. It went past his north node and it's actually coming back to it. What he's here to do, suddenly Neptune came through. What did it do? Diffused. Stroke. Brain bleed, perhaps.
Electrostorm, we're looking at John Fetterman on his election day. Yeah. If you look at on the chart to the left, it's got the race and the state and the name. In case we get, which it keeps me, because I would be lost without that. So yes.
All right. So and Neptune is opposite over here. His moon is probably somewhere around here. His Pluto is definitely somewhere around here. It's not all. Yeah, there's this too. Saturn in the sky is opposite the sun in his chart, and over here, 23. Neptune's at 23, basically. So you've got some stuff happening. You've got lots of oppositions, things being up, down, up, down, up, down on election day. This Neptune thing backing up over we've been through he's already dealt with the worst of it.
Well,
there's cleanup is what's going on now. So it's certainly not all bad. But he's got a lot of up, down, and we could look. We're kind of running low on time on this one. I can try to look more in future. That was the main thing I wanted to point out was that. But it's the worst is behind us. Now I did want to look at Mehmet Oz. Oh boy! Now I wanted to point this out because Neptune is obviously in the same place in the sky. Oz's nodes, the north node, south node, they're in a very similar place. Fetterman's are at 22. Oz is at 20. So it's still within a couple of degrees of Neptune here in the sky, but they're reversed. This is Oz's south node. This is his past. This is so I'm. It wouldn't hit in the same way. But anyway, as far as this chart goes and the eclipse and what effect it's going to have, remember the eclipse is at 16 degrees. So what's over here? Uranus in his chart. His Oz's thinking outside the box, his bolts out of the blue, his humanitarianism is just getting blasted by not only this, the eclipse, but Saturn is over here in the sky at almost 18 and some degrees. So you've got an opposition with Saturn and squaring the eclipse energy. So again, lots of emphasis on Uranus, lots of emphasis on bolts out of the blue, unexpected, that sort of thing. Mehmet Oz's sense of self, his sun down here, is at this is called an inconjunct. It is inconjunct the eclipse energy, and what this inconjunct is you can't get there. You it's like somebody that you're just not going to connect with. You see each other, but no matter what you do or try to talk to them or beat their, there's just always it just doesn't quite. You go to talk to them and they just got on a phone call. All these weird coincidences where it's just you're frustrated and you've got to work on something together, but you don't actually have a lot in common, it turns out, and that's an inconjunct. This eclipse is hitting his sun with that, his very sense of self with that. So even though Fetterman's chart is not pretty, he's been through a lot. I feel a little bit better. I mean, granted, it's his sun here. It's like 8 degrees away. This is 16, but this is all the way up at 22. So 4, 5, 6 degrees. That's weaker than, so anyway.
So, but hypothetically,
yeah,
this out of the blue jolt,
mm-hmm.
as much as I don't want to think about it,
mm-hmm.
and I don't want to speak something into existence here,
mm-hmm.
but could it be, could that technically be, the jolt or of winning when no one expected you to?
Well, Uranus is going to be the unexpected.
Yes.
But the thing in this chart in particular is there's so much. This isn't a, hey, you won energy. This is someone just walked up behind you and just like raised up the bottom of their foot and just kicked you in the rear end. Now, is
or like Rudy Giuliani patted you on the back in a supermarket. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or what he would claim. Yeah.
Well, this energy, this is more like getting just kicked.
Yeah.
And this is one heck of a bolt, and his sense of self is not looking happy.
Well, he professed for years to want to help people and do right by people, and now he's not. So, yeah, that's got to mess with your sense of self a little bit, I would assume. Yes.
Yeah. He does have a positive. We're not sure about the moon, but he does have. It does have the eclipse does have a positive, and it does have positive aspects with his Saturn, his glue, his things that form. So there's that, but this in conjunct here, but certainly this. It forms what's called a grand cross. So you've got everything here opposite and square each other. The eclipse with Saturn here and his Uranus there. That's tension and frustration and.
Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
So, like I said, Fetterman's chart doesn't look great, but it doesn't have this feels like he's going to. It's like Fetterman's chart is like he went through, he had a stroke, and now he's trying to recover. Oz's chart is is the energy's like he's about to get kicked by a mule.
Okay, but is it like
positive or negative? Probably not good. But
I mean, you know, in 2016, Trump didn't actually want to win. He wanted to run and he wanted to lose so that way he could blast that notoriety forever. He did not intend on winning. Is this one of those where Oz is not actually intending on winning?
Oh no, he's intending on winning.
Oh, is he?
Oh no, he wants to win. He believes he has the right to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a surgeon, you know, and surgeons, you know, there's even in the medical field, it's kind of understood that their
ego is huge.
Exactly. Okay. That's the nicer way to put it than I was going to. So anyway, I know you need to go.
Oh no, I'm here for whatever. So.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So this is what I'm getting. Electric Storm says, was the Oz that came out years ago hiding the Oz we see today? Can a person change that much? It's the beauty of television. It's the same thing with Trump with The Apprentice. You know, apparently, you know, we're going to do this and you'll have this board. It'll be in the Trump boardroom and what? That wasn't his boardroom. When they showed up at Trump Tower, the place apparently was just run down and ugly and tacky. Surprise. And he became president and he doesn't fire anybody. When he became president, he wouldn't fire anybody. He's too much of a coward. But that was his tagline. You know, when you have your own TV show, there, especially when it's based on your personality, your person, chances are you're going to have a whole bunch of people who are going to be doing everything they can to make you look good. So, thank you, Tina, for voting.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Do you need to go?
No.
Oh, things changed. Okay, good. Then maybe we could cover one more.
Sure.
Race. Let me see. Warnock. Let's go to Georgia. Senate race. Raphael Warnock. All right. Again, there's the big eclipse. Now, just in his chart, in general, Neptune is over here, and it went over his north node, his work order, and then backed up. And so it's around, and it has affected his north node. It's not the main thing I'm focused on, though. It's this Neptune in the sky is opposite his Pluto, his sense of power. And in his chart, Pluto is in the same place as his south node. So his power has something to do with a kind of old-fashioned way of doing things, which is not necessarily bad, but you're really here to do what's over here, which is probably in Pisces. So that is organized religion is Pisces. The Catholic Church is Pisces. So he's obviously taken this energy and he's using that his nodes well. That's good. But Neptune is there. It rules Pisces, so that's good, but it might diffuse some of what he's trying to do. What he's trying to do in his work life. The work order might be a little waterlogged. The paper might be a little waterlogged, and maybe a piece fell off. But he's probably the ink probably hasn't bled out that much. He has in the sky. He's got positive stuff going on here. Saturn up here at 18 degrees is in positive aspect to his Venus. Down here. His what and how you love. Saturn in the sky is actually helping him empower what and how he loves. That's good. Yeah. Jupiter.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I need to interject really, really quick.
Yeah.
Bella, what we were talking about as far as surgeons and egos, and for because I mean, I've worked with a lot of surgeons. It's not necessarily a bad thing all the time. Surgeons have to have that self-assuredness to know that they can do what they do because they go in to save lives. So they
Right.
have to have this whole, I can do this. This is mine. I've got this.
Right.
Whatever, because they have to be self-assured, and with that comes some degree of ego. It's not necessarily in the classical egotistical way one would think of. So Oz is going to have some of that just from his background, and some people can take that aspect of their lives, of that personality, and twist it into something ugly. And there's a lot of surgeons who have that whole, I can do this, I know what I'm doing, and but yet they don't have that, and bless your husband for the life he saved.
Yes.
So I just wanted to get in there and just say that's we're not so
same way with commercial pilots.
Yes.
And I worked in that field. I worked in the front desks. I dealt with people who were, it's like, okay, let's take this building up in the sky.
Right.
I mean, the size of these machines is staggering. And then some of them were, private jets. It's like, let's take this building up in the sky that costs $50 million. I got it. Right. You have to have a certain level of confidence and that sort of thing. And I have met wonderful pilots. But I have met very few milquetoast pilots. Very few, especially commercial pilots. So I've also met some big jerks. I mean, big jerks. So it's kind of the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. I just wanted to.
No.
Bella, and I didn't want you to think that we were just, like piling up. We're not totally. No.
All right. So his work order and what he was doing. Okay. Yes. Saturn in the sky is actually working well. So that's being able to the only way I can think, I keep referring back to myself just because I know my chart so well.
Right.
My Venus, what and how I love, is in Sagittarius. I married an Englishman. I married a foreigner. Sagittarius is always let's try new things. What's over there? And when somebody has something in their chart that hits my chart, or there's a transit in the sky that's giving power to the Venus in my chart, suddenly I will be finding all new snacks to try. New this to try. A new little, I want to see, I found these books. What's in here? And it empowers that, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Well, Saturn in the sky is in a positive aspect to his Venus. So it's giving an ability to form. It's like, you want to do something that you love. You want to use this energy. Here, let me help you organize how to do that. So that is a positive thing. Again, we have these people, these Leos, Jupiter in the sky, in a positive aspect to Warnock's sun. So he's going to get his sense of self and his communication lucky, positive, and I honestly think it's because of this node, his nodes and Pluto here. I think that keeps him grounded, because this Pluto is going to hold you.
Right.
It's going to be a solid anchor.
Right.
Which can be good or bad. So but this is going to give him optimism, and it's going to help his sense of self, and it's going to help him communicate better. But this other aspect, I think, stops some of the blowhard aspects. And this Pluto in the sky powering his dreams, his ideals and dreams. So, okay.
So this is not a bad chart to have.
No, it's just, yeah. Let me see. But let's look at Herschel Walker. Looks a little different. Would you rather have that with that blue and that red, or would you rather have this? So on the one hand, you have the sun and the moon, and you do have a positive he does have a positive aspect to his sun, his sense of self. So the eclipse will be giving his sense of self a lot of power. However, at 16 degrees, his nodes are at 16 degrees. His work order is this eclipse energy is blasting his sense of what he's supposed to be doing, the path he's been on, what have you. It's also blasting his communication because he's got Mercury right there.
Okay, so as somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and can't talk right to begin with, this is not good.
No. And he has, because nodes are a mathematical point, but they still have a lot of power. Right. It has to do where the moon crosses the ecliptic, I can't talk today. When you take the Earth and you blow out, you take the equator of the Earth and you bring it outwards in every direction. Okay, the moon is, as it's spinning around, it goes either slightly above that line or below that line.
Right, like waves. Yeah.
Yes, it's going, because it's not just exact. It's going up a little, high, down, and that point where it crosses the line, those are the nodes.
Okay.
And they have an effect. They just really do. And this entire, because there's a node on either side of the planet, you also get a situation of, it isn't just on one side. This eclipse is hitting his nodes and forming, the eclipse is forming a grand cross with his nodes. That's a lot of tension. And it's within minutes.
Be gone, Satan. That's a bit much. I would not want that chart.
No. But it is giving positive energy to his sense of self. There's that. 21. Why did I? Oh, because Neptune has been moving back and forth over the idea of what and how he loves, and Neptune's been dissolving things, like people finding out.
Yeah.
The barriers that were hiding things are suddenly disappearing.
Whoopsies.
Yep. So there's some other things here, but those are the big ones.
Okay.
And wow, if he gets in with a grand cross of eclipse energy on his nodes and Mercury, and because the other thing that's caught up in this, of course, is Uranus. So Uranus in the sky is also square his nodes. So what he's trying to do, and bolts of lightning or bolts out of the blue, or it's just nuts. So would you rather have this person
Who?
Or would you rather have this person?
I'll take Senator Warnock for 500, Alex.
Yes. Yeah. So those are the
oh goodness.
Those are the sorry. Just talked.
You're good.
Tim
says, can you just imagine the life lesson he signed up for?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So that's the energy around the people who in some of the key races, and Sarah won't be able to be with me every day between now and election day, but we're going to go over some more of these at least. I will answer your questions too, but I wanted to let you guys know what was going on with the astrology and how it isn't always as clear cut as to, oh, this person's going to, I've seen the astrology, this person's going to win and this person isn't. Sometimes it's, you have to, you're looking at the two charts and you're saying, this has some good, this has bad, this has some good, this has some really bad. So probably things are leaning in that way. The energy is leaning in their direction. But that's why it's good to look at multiple things, and you look at kind of who they are. Are they connecting with people? All the basic things anybody can do, and but you look at the astrology. Which way are the energetic currents? Are they favoring them or not? You can look at the astrology. Look at the spiritual collective energy. I wouldn't spend much time looking at the polls these days because they need the whole poll apparatus needs to change. It hasn't changed enough with the times. But yeah.
Oh, Sandra, happy birthday, dear.
Yes, absolutely. And happy birthday. And Beto, I didn't get to that today, but I'll like I said, I want to cover key races, the big names over the next few days. So I hope that was okay with everybody. I hope it didn't put you to sleep. Lola Bell says Walker's Mars conjunct Jupiter explains his player status, shall we say. Uranus squaring that conjunction brought the consequences of it to the public's attention out of the blue. Yes. Yes. That makes sense. Yep, Lola, but consequences being transiting Saturn in the conjunction. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Right. Saturn going, okay, let's have some accountability here. So, all right. Well, that is, oh my gosh, I've literally lost like 150 people, 200 people today from my normal viewership, but this is important. So, the kitty. All right. That's going to do it for us for today, but thank you so much for everything. And Sarah, thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Hi. And we're going to get through this, everybody.
Absolutely.
We're not going to lose our democracy, like I showed you in the U.S. chart. It is not, the only one who's going to feel like it's the end of the world is this one. Whenever he doesn't get exactly what he wants, exactly when within 2 minutes of when he wants it, the rest of us are going to be fine. So, have a wonderful rest of your day. You're so good.
Thank you, Lola Bell. Yay! Now I can do her chart, or I can put them down and she can do her chart. So yes,
Okay.
Yolanda Flowers for Alabama. We now have
Thank you.
her. So thank you, Lola.
All right. Oh, good. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. And it's 2:04 p.m. here in Chicago. In 2 hours, we will be over on the Creative Sprint channel, and we'll go from there. So thank you. Take care.